Okay, this is to solve your first question to do with your 2DXF files you sent. So I'll just load them into Studio. And I take it this is your dumping sort of area and you want to update it. The easiest tools are this combination surface, but you need to be careful on what it will update. So if this is your newer surface, it can get a little bit complicated. So we've got these options here: replacement, lowest, highest. So replacement will always put the smaller surface into the bigger surface. Now in this case, your surfaces are not completely inside of each other, so you can see that there, which can be a bit of a problem, but it's easily sort of worked around. The other option we've got for dumps that's really good is highest. There will be a little bit of a ridge through there, but overall it should be pretty good. So we want to use highest because we're doing dumps. Select both surfaces and hit OK. Now this may give you a result like this, where you're missing triangles. This is a bug in the software. They're working to fix it, but I will show you how we work around it and make it work anyway. So this is now one file, and it's deleted the portion of the older dump file underneath. So you can see it's deleted all of that, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. But this is not really a solid surface. Like we've got holes here. You'll also notice there's this little red line, which is vertical triangles, so where they don't perfectly intersect. Now, how I fix this is go back to your two original surfaces, which I've got over here, and find the boundaries. So edit, query surface boundaries. And if I hide them, you'll see I now have two polygons. What I want to do is create a polygon for all of the exterior. So there's a few different ways of doing this. I could use smart line and sort of trace around it, but that's always a bit of a mess. So what I'm going to do is grab this point here, edit, move it, snap to a line, and snap on that line. Do the same on this side, this intersection, select the closest point, right click, edit, move point, and snap to that line. Now we want to delete all of the lines inside this area. So I'll change to line selection mode and go freehand selection and just draw a lasso around those lines. Just trim it up ever so slightly, like so. And now I've got the exterior. If I then just select both of those files or points, openings as such, edit, join and close, I now have one polygon. So that's going to be my boundary file. You can see that there. Now this triangulation here has problems. You can see it's got holes. Easy way to fix that, go to line selection mode, only the combination surface selected, and select all. It's going to select all of the lines within that file. Copy and paste. So you can see I now have a bit of a wireframe there on screen. Which is pretty cool. Select both the wireframe and the boundary, triangulate, relimit to polygon, load in your boundary file just with the middle mouse button, have both files selected. I'm just going to increase that to 50 meters just to ensure we get everything triangulated but also limited to the boundary, so I'm not changing your surface at all. And that there is my final model complete. So I will actually email this to you. Should be fairly small. Cool. Now you also asked question 2, you had some inconsistent triangles. If I jump back to this one here, I'm guessing this one will also have inconsistent triangles. What we can do to find where they are is query surface validity. And this is going to check for inconsistent surface, surface closure, and self-intersections. So I'll export these failures so I can see where they are. So it's actually passed the 2 that I thought it would fail, which is good. But what it does, it creates little polygons where there will be problems. If there's 1 or 2 problems, you can manually fix them. I can also license you this labs menu, which has an edit fix surface, which also fixes it. If these don't work, you can always revert back to copying out the edges and the boundary and just re-triangulating. Sometimes when you import a DXF file from a different software package, like your mine planning package or Mindscape or Minex or whatever other software you're using, it might not necessarily work very well. So there might be problems. So we need to fix them in eyesight, and the best way is to create the boundary and the edges. So to do that again, for example, if I just needed this boundary here, I can query surface boundaries, trim that up a little bit. Like so. And also change it to lines, so line selection mode, broken surface selected, select all, copy, paste, select everything on screen, re-triangulate using the boundary polygon. Now you'll also notice that this is not a polygon file. You can see it's got an X through it. What I'm going to do is just select a small portion of it in points, edit, selection, flood select, because if I look closely, there might be parts of it that aren't part of the polygon, like there. If I hit edit crop now, you can now see the icon has changed to a little square without the X. It's a polygon. So I'll use that as my boundary, select my edges, and this surface will be perfect for volumes. No issues at all. So a bit of a workaround there. Now lastly, Mr. Joy wanted to import points with the labels. Now this can be a bit of an issue. Studio has some limitations in how to do labels, but it's very, very similar to survey points. So if I find a file that I've got somewhere here, that one there I know it's got points, and load it in. Now it would be survey points, but you can always go down to custom, and you should have the label listed here, like 1, 2, 3, or edge, or line edge, bun height, something like that, something that you've listed, and you want to import it as survey points instead of points. X, Y, Z, and use point label. It's said there's over 1,000 files inside of that. Now this is the limitation. Each point gets created as a separate object, rather than inside of a point cloud. But all of these points now have labels, so you can see what's what. It's not a problem that it's in this format. You can always select that whole survey file and actually triangulate it to turn it into real data. So you can see there, that's my triangulation. So just because it's a survey point file doesn't mean you cannot use it as normal point information. So if you're only importing in 100 points or so, it'll work perfectly with no problems at all. Thanks again, guys, and let me know if that does not work. Hopefully that fixes some of your problems. Cheers.